Hello, 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 gorgeous ones. How we doing? Just checking in. We've done it. Yay. I'm just going to press record. Hello, hello, hello. We're in business, my friends. So, what's this all about? Rozy Raw in the house, Raw Rozy in the house. Let's do this. Hello, beautiful souls, beautiful humans. Welcome, welcome to this second Raw Rozy Confessions of a Light Leader podcast, which is all about birthdays and the secret that your birthday reveals about you. Yes, even the tough birthdays. Now, I'm making this 2 days after my 47th birthday. So, for those of you who don't know yet, I am a Leo, yes. And my birthday is the end every year of the Lionsgate portal peak. So, we start on the 8th, we finish on the 12th, and the whole thing is about how we actually make the most of these energies. Now, I didn't know about Lionsgate many years ago, obviously found out about it and how potent it is. But for me, typically at the end of the Lionsgate portal peak, I'm gathering my energy and at the same time truly wanting to celebrate because I love celebrating my birthday. I feel there's many Leos in the house who will kind of identify with this, that as a Leo, we do things large. Why just spend a day celebrating when you could do a week, you could do a month, you could even do a year? And when you are dealing with those amazing birthdays at the start of a decade, I highly recommend you do spend the whole year supporting yourself to make the most of the transition. Now, there are many secrets that are revealed by your birthday, but what I wanted to do today was to speak to those birthdays that don't go quite as you intend to, that aren't quite what you had in mind, and also to speak to the reoccurring themes that can occur as we kind of set ourselves up, if you like, for the Groundhog Day that is invariably our life when we look to the past to define the future. So I'm coming here from the background of someone who's worked with pre-birth influences, even pre-fertility influences, and the impact of our time in the womb, our conception, our time in the womb, our birth, and the immediate postpartum period, and how that actually impacts us. And when I was at the start of my training in all this work, so when I was training as a yoga teacher who specialized in perinatal yoga, and then as a birth educator and as a doula, a birth attendant, I discovered that actually what's interesting about newborn babies is they're always telling you the story of their birth. They do it through the movements that they're constantly repatterning in order to make sense of what actually happened, because there's a process babies are meant to go through to help them move through the pelvis and out into the world. And this helps trigger all sorts of things that support their optimal development and moving into a Thrive paradigm reality. But as you know, many of us have actually been born by some form of assistance. So ventouse forceps, could even be induction, could be cesarean. And this does have an impact on actually how we are in terms of time and space and how we orientate ourselves in this world. And let me tell you, in case you've forgotten, we have been living in the survival paradigm for so long that actually we don't really come out wired to thrive or expecting to meet a benevolent and benign universe. We tend to be born expecting struggle and stress because that's what's been programmed into us, and it's no one's fault. It's just where it is in the world presently. And so our lives tend to repeat a pattern. And what absolutely fascinates me is actually how our pre-conscious beliefs are formed. So these are before we actually are conscious of thinking. And I mean those beliefs you make about yourself or you decide about yourself and about life based on the time that you are growing in the womb and developing your brain and your nervous system and all the systems of the body. Also, what actually happens at your birth, and then how you're treated once you were born, and the relationship between whether you know you were wanted or whether you were a surprise or whether you weren't wanted, and how this actually shapes your experience and expectation of life. Now, I've had a real variety of birthdays in my life, and this year I actually was quite surprised that I had some deep clearing and healing to do. Now, I am with a wonderful, wonderful, wonderful man, my Divine Sacred Union Ascension partner, and he knows how much I love birthdays and making a big fuss. And actually, we got together off the back of my 40th birthday when I drew a line in the sand and decided that the first 40 years of my life were not going to be what the next 10 years and whatever else was coming after were going to be about. And I actually drew a line on the toxic love programming that had been my experience just before I turned 40. Now, at this time, I had been in an on-off relationship for 10 years with someone who's really lovely, just not the right person for me. And after that, I'd ended up kind of falling for someone that I'd had a fling with that was literally coming out of the frying pan into the fire, getting hooked on someone that I didn't expect to because I was wide open to, just having something different in my life. And that was 18 months of on and off before literally 2 weeks before my 40th, I decided to say, you know what, I'm done with this. I'm drawing a line. And this is the beauty of a significant point in time, like hitting 30, hitting 40, hitting 50, where you decide, actually, no more of this. I'm not going to do it. And what happened for me was I decided to truly stand behind what I wanted. And I said to this person, who's also a very nice person, mate, I'm done with this. Well, I don't know what this is, but I actually am going to admit to myself, even though I'm this independent woman that doesn't need anyone for anything, that I really want a ring on my finger. I want someone to want to marry me. I want to be proposed to. I want to have a wedding. I want to be the wife of a husband. I wanted these experiences, whether right or wrong, and I actually wanted to have one of those marriages that everyone else looked to and said, you know what, I want that. What's that? How do I get that? Because I had had so many crappy relationships and constantly repeated the relationship patterning of my parents and my ancestors, which is really a lot of dissatisfaction in love, unrequited love, all of that kind of thing, right? So in this instance, as I said to this person, I'm done. I want a ring on my finger. If you are not wanting to commit in this deep way and pull out all the whistles and all the bells and do all the great stuff, then please will you move to the left so that someone who is the right fit for me can actually come forward and make themselves clear, make themselves known. There's space for them. I'm not hanging on to you, trying to make this something other than it is. He did move to the left, and for a whole week I was devastated until my beloved rang me up. Now, Ian and I knew each other from 4 years back. We couldn't be together because he was in another relationship himself and I was in this on off one. And really, I didn't want crumbs. I wanted everything. And this man was like my muse. He was everything I could possibly want on paper, but he didn't belong to me. And I was like, you know what? I'm not going to be a mistress. I'm not going to be a bit on the side. I'm not going to be any of the things that would dissatisfy me because I'm queen bee and I want it all. And so I decided to embark on a 4 year basically reprogramming journey, which I now teach. And this is what all my coaching work is about, is how to get people out of the patterning that keeps playing out but isn't what they want, and to help them have what they actually want. For me, it was main thing was love. For others, it can be love, it can be money, it can be health, it can be soul purpose recognition. Whatever it is for you, please put it in the comments because I'd love to know. And so what happened in the end was I then found myself in a position where I'm at the beach with my ex of the end of 10 years on and off and my now husband. And I had to do a little bit of a reality check and go, okay, not what do I feel I should do, but what do I want to do? Where is my heart? And my heart was definitely with my beloved, with Ian. It was not in having another round of something that I know isn't going to work, but I feel I should make it work because they're a good person and they love me. And surely my expectations are too high. And if I just lowered them, they'd be fine. Thank God I didn't do that. Never do that. Okay. Not good. But do get clear on what you want and get congruent. So here we are 5 years later, well, 7 years later, 5 years later, married, very, very happy. And this was the year where I'd kind of said, oh, don't worry, we won't do too much. We're going to town, just want to spend the day on the beach, blah, de, blah. Well, not too much became nothing. And for a Leo, not having anything planned is like, where's the fanfare? Where's the trumpets? Where's the fireworks? And it took me into a place that I haven't been to for a long time, because what I've just shared with you about my 40th was 7 years ago. And that was when Ian was the DJ that saved my life. And a week later, we got magical at Magical Festival, and the rest is history. Here we are, 7 years on. And I'm like, okay, really haven't planned this day very well. There's no way we're going to fit everything into this day that I want to. And something's sitting at ill at ease with me. And I want to share this with you because I think it's so important to recognize when things are not going the way you desire them to go, there is so much gold available to actually create a healing where there would otherwise be just a situation that you could just create a whole drama out of and live that on repeat. Because birthdays are really significant, whether we choose to acknowledge that or not. I know some people just go, oh, it's just another day, not bothered about it, don't want anyone to know. I want to know what you do. So please, if you're watching this, put in the comments. I love to celebrate my birthday. I hate people to make a fuss. What's your truth around it? What actually happens for you? Do you look forward to them? Do you make a big deal about them? Do you expect others to make a big deal about them? Do you find yourself constantly disappointed by what happens? Do you find that it's actually a significant event because something else happened on your birthday that just colors your birthday every time and it's not in a nice way? What actually happens on repeat for you? Because what I found this year was, although it was not the sort of kind of birthday that was really planned and was like amazing and, all the things that I could possibly want happen, it was a birthday where I got to clear 6 birthdays worth of trauma. My 10th birthday, 13th, no, 10th, 14th, 16th, 18th, and 21st. I think that's 6. There's probably more from that. Okay. And what it took for me was just to feel the emotions that were coming up. So this is the invitation when things aren't quite going as you intend, is to allow yourself to feel the stories that are coming up. Now, I'm going to mention Lionsgate again because this is significant to remember that every year we have this portal that basically creates an alignment. There's an alignment in the sky where we get a massive blast of photonic light, so much more sunlight, so much more light than we're normally used to. I call this soul light, and it's like it gives us the opportunity to hold more of our soul light in our energy field and in our cellular and molecular memory. Okay. But to do that, we have to shed density. So last year was the 888 portal. And I said this was an invitation to those of us who wanted it to invite 1,000-fold expansion, to invite an expansion times 1,000 of our energy field, our impact, our magnetism, our radiance. And this year was all about light body stabilization. So the expansion and stabilization of our light bodies to be able to hold the frequency of what we'd called in. So anything you stretch yourself to, anything you call in, is going to require then a release, a shedding, a letting go of what no longer serves you. Now, this is the key thing about birthdays. What came up for me was the key belief. Every time this shows, I know I'm on the brink of something huge, because this is the one that would normally stop me in my tracks and get me not doing that thing that's going to allow me to have the quantum leap that I called in. I found out something in the early hours of last night. So this was after I'd scheduled to do this live, that blew me away because I didn't know where this belief came from. I knew it was a precognitive belief. I knew it was actually a birth belief, but I couldn't understand why, because it didn't fit in with the birth story I'd received. And this was the belief that I'm not important. Cancel, cancel, delete, delete, because I know I am and you are. And if you're watching this, remember the words you say after I am are powerful. So choose them very, very carefully. So this belief came up, and it comes with it, a whole load of other stories that come with it. And if you've never actually looked at your pre-birth influences, this is the work that I do. I'm going to ask you, if you're seriously interested to find out more, to please go to RozyGlow.com and join my mailing list. Okay. If nothing else, join my mailing list and contact me, and I'll send you the information. If you are like, I want to know more and I want to do this, and you've got a couple of grand to spare because it's a deep intensive that I do with people, then book your desire mapping call, which I'll put the link in the text box after this call, after this live. Okay. And that will just give us a little taster of, it's a free call, but it will lead us into then taking you to doing this deep dive with me. What happens with our pre-birth influences and the time in the womb is we inherit a load of beliefs from our mum and from our ancestors and from life. So these are not often said consciously, but the result of whether we're wanted or not, whether our mother's having a hard time in pregnancy, whether anything really shocking happened, whether she discovered something about your dad or was left or someone died or something happened, an accident, an illness, things happen, right? These all leave an imprint. Now, the brain doesn't fully come online until the last 3 months in the pregnancy, but that doesn't mean your physiology isn't influenced. It doesn't mean your nervous system isn't influenced. And we are basically emitting delta brain waves when we are in the womb. Okay, so you've got alpha, theta, beta, gamma, delta. And basically, the delta brainwaves are the deeply hypnotic ones. And once we're born, we come into delta and theta. And this is also a highly programmable state. So we're in a state of hypnosis for the first 7 years of our lives, right? But those pre-conscious ones, the ones that you don't remember, the ones that happen before you had the capacity to even talk about it or choose, are the ones that will show up in your life. They're the main blockers every time you're about to have a quantum leap breakthrough. And anyone who's a star seed, so a light worker, we're all star seeds, by the way, in case you didn't know this. We're just aware of it or we're not, because we all come from the stars. None of us are purely from this planet. In case you didn't know, we're all energy on a microscopic level, stardust plus other bits, right? So the important thing here is those beliefs that come up are around the challenges you experienced in the womb, you experienced at your birth, and never got healed afterwards. So, let's look at an example of, say, you were so wanted as a baby, and actually your mum had a great pregnancy, and the birth went really well, but then you're whisked off, and you're put in a nursery, and you're left to cry. You could easily take the belief there that what your needs don't matter, you're not important. And you could have created that belief right at your birth when the reality didn't match the expectation because you'd been longed for, you'd wanted, you knew you were wanted, and then suddenly you're ignored and you're not given what you need in the time you need it. The impact of leaving babies to cry, and I don't mean for a second, but I mean leaving them to cry consciously, is well documented. There's a lot about it these days. And what it said, and I think it's in the book Love Matters, or Why Love Matters, Sue Gerhardt, is that our cortisol levels can be actually set for life as a result of the stress factors in our earliest life. Now, what was really interesting for me that I didn't expect was that actually, when I asked the question, because I was up in the early hours this morning, I was like, where has this belief come from? It's not what, if you ask the question why, you will get your subconscious programming come up. But when you ask, how has this come about, you then start to find out more about it, right? More about what's going on. And what can I do to support a shift will help you seek solution, right? So for me, what I realized in the early hours was this I'm not important belief is actually not mine. I know who it belongs to. It's a family member and someone very close to me. And it was actually a choice point when their dad was asked to choose mother or child. And their dad chose mother because obviously that's who they knew. And this story has been told to this person who's very significant to me. And I just want to be cautious and respect everybody. So I'm not going to say too much about it, but they're close to me, right? Now, somehow this imprinted on me. And as a gift to my ancestors and to my descendants, being able to, when I feel that, say to myself, I am important and here's why, right? I am important, I do count, and what I want matters, is how you rewrite the narrative of the story of your ancestors. Because when we've cleared our own narrative around things and our own pre-birth beliefs and early influences, we then are able, if it's our soul choosing a part of our soul path, to clear for our ancestors and our descendants. And this is the path I'm on because this is what I teach, right? So, as I said, I had this amazing opportunity this Lionsgate on the last day of the peak when there are at least 4 planets going retrograde. Mercury started to go direct in the shadow phase, to see what was still hankering in my energy field and belief system that was holding on to the old paradigm, because I can't create what I'm here to create in this world. If I'm holding on to a belief that I'm not important, it's not going to work. I have to truly trust, as do you, that you are and what you're here to do in this world matters. And actually standing up and being counted and going, hey, got something here that's really important to share with you, is part of the journey. So at one point I was looking out at the sea and we did go to the beach. It was lovely. And I just had the opportunity to release sadness, grief, to release this sense of all the narratives around that statement. And there's a lot of narratives if you're a Leo. There's a lot of narrative if you're anything, right? So what do we do with all of this? Well, either we can keep affirming a story that says, oh, I hate having my birthday. Every time I have a birthday, something terrible happens, and da 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 da. And this is what happened back in 1965, and ever since then, blah, blah, blah. And guess what? Because you've drawn that pattern and that is what you tell people, that is what you are creating in your future because you're not giving an opportunity for it to actually change. If something has happened in your life that was horrendous on your birthday, my heart goes out to you. It's the same with Christmas, New Year, any significant date. I'll never forget the year that my mum passed. It was actually her birthday on Mother's Day, and that felt like a real cruel twist of fate. At the same time, I knew it was actually a way of, one, being grateful for her, and two, dealing with deeper grief and releasing it and not getting caught in the story. So if you do find yourself having more of the misery around birthdays than the magic, remember that it's very much about the story you tell yourself. This is very important as to how things are going to change in the future. And the other thing that's really important is to look at what's actually in your power, because it is in your power to set the tone. I realized myself today that, or yesterday, day before, that I never asked for what I wanted. I wasn't clear. You know, when people say to me, what do you want for your birthday? I was like, oh, I don't know. And then I spend all year going, oh, I want this and I want that. You know, it's up to us to actually hear us, to decide we are important, to decide that our needs matter, to decide to speak up for what we desire, and to allow ourselves to receive and not push away that which we say we want. Now, once upon a time, when I was single and really wanting to be in a relationship, I knew part of the deal was giving myself the things that I wanted someone else to give me. And I wrote myself love notes and I paid for myself to have pampering sessions. And yes, there was a bit of me going, surely someone else should be doing this for me, not me. But I had to get into the motion. And I got really reminded this year of how important it is to keep giving yourself what you want, to keep being the person that sees yourself in the light that you want to be seen, and not to expect others to do this for you. If they do it, it's a byproduct, it's great, but it's about your energy. Because often what we do in relationship is we make the other person responsible for our happiness, and that's not fair. No one's responsible for your happiness and your joy. And to expect others to know what you want and not to clearly communicate it, that's not cool either. So, as I'm bringing this to a head, I just want to really share with you that we all have those moments that don't go to plan, right? I can't tell you how many times I've booked recently for us to go away and do something nice for our birthday, for my birthday, with the family or friends or whatever. And then the days that we've most wanted to be by the sea, we're like inland, sweltering in like the days that there's a heat wave. So this year I can say, thank goodness we were down on the beach. Yeah, thank goodness we were here and we got to enjoy the sun and the sea and the time together. So again, in a day where things maybe didn't go according to plan, it's up to you how you reframe it and how you decide what actually did go the way you wanted, what you've learned from it, what you would do differently in the future, and what you're going to gift yourself so that actually you can turn the trauma into treasure. Thank you, Gen X, for that beautiful saying, because I love it. And you can bring yourself to a place where you don't negatively anticipate what is a gift, because that turn around the sun every year that you complete it, there's another level of your own kind of graduation from old stories. And I feel it's very important to celebrate it and to honor yourself because you chose to inhabit this skin suit. You chose to come here. You chose to be in this world. And it's not that easy, apparently. There are many souls that want to incarnate. And when we're here and we feel like we're feeling the weight of the world and the pain of the world and we're wondering why we came here, it's important to remember that. Now, we're all in different stages, obviously, of what we have available to us. I'll never forget Kate's free fun. You know, if you're on a budget, remember there's so much that's free that you can enjoy. With its rolling down hills, it doesn't cost you any money. You might end up with dog poo on you, but hey ho. Rolling down hills is fun. Climbing trees is fun. Dipping in and out the sea is fun. There's loads of things you can do that don't cost a penny. And if you do want to be made more of a fuss of, then why not make that clear to the people that you love? And let them know what you would love for them to do. Just say, look, all of these things are things that matter to me. I would love to have a day of feeling truly appreciated because this is the day to appreciate yourself. And, you know, I'm like, I'm a queen for the day. I want to do nothing, just feed me cocktails and grapes and amuse me. And that's my energy. It's fine. I own that, right? But for you, whatever your truth is, please remember to give yourself more of what you actually want. And if you do find that you have a challenging time, the trauma to treasure element here is actually about discovering these core beliefs that do hold you back, that do limit you, because we've all kind of been trained when we're in survival programming to anticipate that if we feel fear, right, or feel doubt or have doubt, then this is a sign not to do something. Oh no, it's a sign. Oh, I saw a single magpie. Oh no, I walked under a ladder. I went, nah, nah, nah. Fear doesn't mean no, it means go. It means lean in, don't contract. Look at this really and notice your fear goggles are giving you an opportunity to see, is this a real true danger, or is it just an anticipatory danger that's come from the previous generations that I've incarnated from? And remember also that if you do want to make the shift from surviving to thriving, then you are talking about a platform upgrade, a nervous system, mindset, emotional landscape, and spiritual energy field upgrade. Because actually, most of us, as I said, have been wired to survive. We're used to 80% effort for 20% reward. And when you are wired to thrive, what you're looking at is 20% effort for 80% reward, because guess what? You do the planning. One, you step in with positive anticipation rather than anticipatory anxiety. You get curious rather than judge moments that look like potholes or hurdles or obstacles. You look at the opportunity in the perceived problem, and you see things that come about in your life that are not what you intended or anticipated as opportunities to realign with the divine, to do some subconscious clearing and some conscious mind alignment so that you are truly in alignment with your highest self. Now, if you love the sound of all of that, that is what the Fearless, Loved Up and Limitless program is. It's a 6-month deep dive, and it's a platform upgrade from surviving to thriving. And the early imprints work I talked about is a 1 month to 6 week deep dive intensive with me. I can only do it 1-to-1 because I don't know anyone who does this work. You have to have a very deep understanding of birth and both birth processes and what can help a birth go well and what doesn't. And then to understand how to decode relationships and also to work with the post-birth stuff so that you are repatterning what would support a healthy development. Okay, there are key points throughout a pregnancy, the birth, the immediate postpartum period in the first 7 years of life, and even as you come into teenhood or experience trauma again later, where you have a reset point, where you have the opportunity to do healing that will impact the past and the future and actually rewrite your memory. So I offer both of these as a package along with a conscious mind alignment 2 month intensive, which then leads with some follow-up work as well. So what I'm saying to you is this: if you're excited about this work and you love the idea of being willing to face anything that life throws you, one, with the clear intention that you have set the scene as best you can so that you are influencing what you experience rather than just having life happen to you and reacting to it. If you like the idea of taking into your hands the power and the control you do have to change and influence your reality, and also to learn to surrender that which isn't in your control and to trust in the highest good and the win-win-win in everything, then you truly are a starseed that wants to do this platform upgrade. Now, my deep dive work, so when I work with people 1-to-1, we're talking 5-6 figure investments, right? When we're talking about group options, we're talking about 4 and 5 figure investment. And when we're talking about one-off sessions, we are really talking about 3 figure investments, right? So I'm saying this to you because I want you to know what's available. And if all of that sounds lovely, but you're like, not in my budget, then please look at the Star Peace Paradise Earth Portal membership. Please look at the multidimensional yoga membership that I offer, because both of these are included in my coaching work. So whether I'm coaching or I've got another coach as a lead coach, these elements are the starting points, that they're the building bricks of everything I've just shared with you in this live, right, in this podcast. So you get to have a taste of how you can shift your consciousness, how you can clear subconscious blocks, how you can repattern your cellular memory to align with the divine rather than the fear programming, all of this is available to you for two figures, right? So I'm going to put all of these links in the text box for you. I'm going to invite those of you who are ready to invest 4 or 5 figures to book a desire mapping call so we can look at what you're up for next. I'm going to say to all of you that want to have babies, please look at this early imprints work as a gift to your unborn children. Look at everything I've just said as a gift to the unborn children, because if we do want to create peace in one generation, and have the next generation wired to thrive rather than survive, it's going to really take for us to do the work for ourselves that will free our ancestors and prevent the descendants that come through us from having the experiences we have, because we'll know how to work with it. And for those of you who already had children, the good news is in the quantum field, you can work with the past and the present and the future all at the same time. So I know, I mean, even Bruce Lipton says, you know, give me a child to the age of 7. He's talked about the impact of that. But I've seen in my own work that even when I work with those who have adult children, when we do our own clearing with the intention of clearing their trauma too, they are impacted. And if they are receptive and they want to, well, if they're open to you being happy, they will also be influenced positively by what you do. So, you know, I'm here to work with the few that influence the many and the many that influence the few. I'm very keen to make sure everyone realizes how powerful they are and how each of us, through the power of our imagination and focused intention, can co-create the reality of our dreams rather than the legacy that we've inherited that maybe is a Groundhog Day on repeat. I've shifted my programming, and these days when I encounter something that isn't quite as I enjoyed or anticipated, I know there's gold there in the shadow stuff. There's so much gold that sets me up for the next bit. Because there's one thing this Lionsgate really taught us is to have what we are calling in. We have to let go of what we don't want and what we don't need and what we've outgrown. And next year is going to be a whole other level of our activations because we worked with the crystalline grid. Now, if you do decide to join the Star Peace Paradise Earth portal, you get the replays of the Lionsgate events I did the whole of this month. So it's definitely worth joining. I'll put the link to the rozyglow.com/events page, which has quite a lot of the offerings there in the text box. And I'll put the other links too. My invitation is just remember, if it's your birthday today and you're having a crap time, book yourself a desire mapping call. Look at the options that are available. Make a commitment to yourself to change the future in this present moment. And when it comes to your birthday next year, start to plan what it is you want for yourself. And if you know that, you know, you felt in some way like it wasn't as significant as it needed to be, who do you feel who's got a birthday coming up? You could do something for them that would really make a difference in their life, because this is the gift of giving. It's learning from our own experience and going, you know what, actually, I know how nice it is to feel as though someone's really thought of you. So I'm going to do that for this person because I care about them. That's the invitation. If you love what I've shared, thank you for commenting. Thank you for sharing your own thoughts and feelings. Please do hit the subscribe button and hit the notifications tab so you know every time I'm live. And I'd love to know what you want some more insights on, because I'm here to reveal more about me behind the scenes. So you can see the LightLeader, glossy, whatever we show on the front. There's real human stuff going on in the back, right? And it's how we process it. It's not that suddenly everything's perfect all the time. It's about how we move through the challenges and the gifts we give ourselves as a gift to those we truly care about. So I'm going to bring it to a close here. I'm sending you so much love. Thank you for participating. Thank you for co-creating. And as I said, do make sure that you take your next step if you want to make the future what you desire it to be rather than what you fear it might be if you keep going the way you have been. You're amazing. I love you. Take care for now. And if you haven't bought Star Peace 101 yet, it's a really good book and it's available on Amazon. I'll put the link in the chat box and you can treat yourself. Bye for now.